Sit on my lap. You want to join our pension board meeting? You're so confused. Hi, Marcia. Oh, I turned down my volume.
Hi.
Hi, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I can't see me either. It's not recognizing the camera again.
Huh. And you're on what?
I went through the, you know what? I think I'll try the browser. Yeah, it says I can't connect to audio, so I'm on the phone.
Hi, Sharon.
Who else is here? Marcia. No?
Hi, Sharon. I see you.
I
Can you
see
see
you.
And
Hi.
Marcia's trying to get her camera to work. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Marcia.
All right, this is going to be a problem.
Is that a dog?
That's a loud dog.
Oh, whose dog is it?
Mine. I adore him, but being home with him 24/7 makes me realize how much he barks, and it's driving me crazy. No. All right. No.
looks it.
No.
I don't see our meeting. Marcia didn't get on yet?
I'm here by phone.
Okay.
And I see Don up, but I don't know if he's just phone or if he's video too.
I'm going to get off and see if I can get in through the browser.
Okay. It's still a little bit early.
Yeah. Oh, Marcia's so-
Nancy,
All right, so John just let me know he's having problems. Let's see.
No, he's not.
Nancy, okay.
this is Marcia. That's not working for me either. So I can see you guys and I'll be able to see what Chris presents.
We just don't get to see your smiling face.
That's right. You just lose out.
I have to tell you, Marcia, we went out for a ride on Sunday and we're driving down Churchill Road near your house. And I said, look at those two crazy people walking on Churchill Road. Then I realized it was you and your husband. Would you go to Thomas Road?
Yeah, that's our walking place.
I said to Tom, she must have gone to Thomas Road, but man, she's got that little stretch there. Woo!
That little what?
The little stretch there on
Stretch,
Churchill.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little scary going around that little curve there.
yes, it is. With the guardrail there.
Yeah, like I already have it all figured out. I just have to jump over and into the creek. As if I could jump in.
Your husband.
Think that fast if somebody was coming at me.
Yeah.
So I see there's a call-in user. All it says is call-in user 3, and it doesn't give me a phone number. So right now it looks like we've got Bill Thorne, Don, Marcia, Nancy, Roger Cotton, and Sharon. I know that, oh, there's
Bill Thorne.
There's Bill. Hi, Bill.
Hi.
I'm waiting for John. He's having problems.
Good for you, Bill. I see you've got toilet paper.
Who, me?
Yeah, behind you.
No, that's some artwork on the wall.
No, the closet.
Oh, yeah. That's our storage closet. I don't think there's much up there, but I'm not desperate. I don't know if I don't know if you've seen the Facebook picture going around. It's a kid asking his grandpa what he did during the COVID-19 crisis. There's a picture of a Charmin delivery truck with a plexiglass back and a gunner. He says, "I was a tail gunner on a Charmin delivery truck."
Someone's calling in.
Anybody else hear that, or is it just me? There we go.
So, Bill, I didn't hear the whole thing because I've got a bad connection. I heard plexiglass in the back, and what was the rest?
Asking his grandfather what he did during the COVID-19 crisis, and there's a picture of a Charmin delivery truck with a tail gunner sitting in the back, and said, "I was a tail gunner on a Charmin delivery truck."
I wonder if this is John.
Trying to call in.
Hello?
See you.
Hello?
We can hear you, John.
And there's Bill and Marcia.
You are.
Hi, Joyce.
The only problem is I don't hear Dawn at all. Dawn, are you there? I hear Dawn. I don't think anyone else. User, calling user 3, calling user 6. One is Dan, but I can't hear anything from them.
Is that your stop?
Mike, we'll figure out who's getting the feedback. Somebody's probably and on the web, that's why we're getting it. Somebody needs to mute their phone too.
Muting yourself though, because we can't hear you.
Somebody's calling into the meeting by
Oh.
saying,
There we go.
Okay, so let's see, who,
Hello?
I'm just gonna be over here.
okay. So who do
Hello?
we
This
have?
is Dan.
Okay, there's the mayor.
Hi, this is Dan Panofsky calling.
Okay, Dan, you know what? It's not
This is-
showing anybody's phone number, so just identify yourself when you speak.
Sounds like somebody has their phone on and their speaker. It's that ring sound.
Your phone is off, right?
This is
Yeah.
Skip, if you can hear me.
Just take my phone, put it over there.
We can hear
Skip
you.
Markwood here.
This is Don. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right. I tried the video in, but all I was getting was a loud beeping noise. Was that?
Now you're cutting in and out.
This is Skip. Am I heard in there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Marcia, you showed up.
Yeah, now we can see you, Marcia.
Yeah. I'm still on the phone though.
I think we have.
Okay, who do we have here now? Let's see, I think Bill, Marcia, Sharon, and Dan's on the phone.
Skip, I'm on phone.
Who else is that?
Nancy, can you just say something?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Make sure we could hear you.
Okay. Who's on the call in? I got Dan. Skip, is Skip
Yes.
there?
Yes, I'm here.
And,
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Don's on the call in.
And Dan is on call in. So we have all 5 members here. That's correct? Is there anyone else who's on the phone that we don't know of? Anyone else out there?
This is Nancy. I don't think my name's showing up anywhere.
Yes, we have your name.
I see your name.
Okay.
Okay, is there anyone else that's there besides the names I called? Anyone from the public out there? Oh, yeah, okay. Roger Cotting, he's a town resident. He's on there. We can see him. Okay, well, why don't we get started? I'll call this meeting to order. And is Chris on the line?
Chris said he may be a couple of minutes late because he had an
Okay.
8:45.
Okay, then why don't we move ahead and let's do the regular meeting minutes of February 18th. Do I hear a motion?
Can you just state your name when you speak?
Bill Thorne, I second it.
Who made the motion?
Sharon,
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Are there any comments to the minutes?
no,
Okay, if not, all in favor?
aye.
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 Any opposed?
Sanders, aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0 passes. Okay, is that, did someone just call in? Did Chris call in? No, Chris. Okay, so Marcia or Don, why don't you start then?
I have nothing to report.
Oh, okay. Any questions for Don? Okay, next is Marcia.
I have nothing to report unless you want me to stretch.
Okay. Then let's see. Next is correspondence. You all have received a letter that I wrote to the Board of Education. It is a letter that was written under FOI. So unlike previous correspondence, the good news is it can't be ignored. The bad news is there's no time limit on when we can get the information. The thing I'd like to emphasize is that the information I've asked for is all statistical. I'm not asking for any personal information. I'm not asking for anything like that. I have not heard anything. Of course, shortly after I wrote the letter, we went into lockdown. So I'm sure the Board of Ed has other things going on. But again, I didn't say it in the letter, but the bottom line is, just in case any of you are approached on this, this all could be answered very quickly, probably with a phone call from Omni.
Mhm.
You know, Omni could answer all of these questions for us, and this would be over. Okay, any comments?
John,
This is
this is
Dan.
Don.
Okay, Don.
Go ahead.
John, this is Bill Thorne.
Yeah, Bill.
I thought we decided we were going to put this one to bed, that we did due diligence, and that we were just going to let it be, given the fact there was still some vagueness regarding what the state law was.
We could do that. My concern is that, again, you know, and it came to light again when I read the ordinances that we're working on. The fact is that we, as a pension board, certainly have a right to know any benefits that are being, especially retirement benefits, being provided through the town. Again, just by way of information. It's informational. I think this is, I don't know. I'm not going to fight this thing, Bill, but any other comments?
This is Skip. I kind of agree with the letter. I think we're just requesting information, and if we're charged with oversight, I think having information is part of that job, and doesn't necessarily mean we expect to change anything, but I think it is our obligation to at least be knowledgeable of facts.
Thank you. Anyone else?
John, this is Sharon. I understand what Bill was saying because there was a discussion at one point that maybe it was time to give up. But I actually like the letter you wrote, and asking them under FOI gives us one more tool to see if they'll give it to us.
Okay. Dan, any comments?
No, I mean, again, like we've all said, if this falls under the, within the ordinance, if this falls under our oversight responsibility, I think simply asking for statistical data is something that we ought to have access to. And as I think Skip already implied, there's no one should take the, or have the impression that somehow we're going to change anything at this point. We just want the information.
I think one of the things, again, the big gray area here is these legacy plans. You know, if I found out that if they gave us statistics that said that obviously no one's putting money into it, well, not through the town. You know, if these people are all retired and you know, either retired and collecting money from there or not, I think it gives me a warmer feeling that, hey, these people might not have a gripe with it, with anything they're in, because, you know, they're taking their money out. I'd also like to know, just in terms of numbers, how many people we're talking about. Are there, you know, are there 10 people in this plan? Are there 50 people in these plans? I'm not as concerned about the plans that are being offered now, because they look pretty, you know, we know most of them are pretty reputable funds. So again, it's informational. I think we as a pension board, just to echo what was said, have a right to know this. So anything else? Okay, then if not, let's move into new business. Did I miss anything else under old business or any?
Well, you're on correspondence, so number 2 now.
Yeah. Oh, number 2. Right, but number 2, yes, we received the email. Did anyone have, do we want to wait until Chris is on the line if you have any questions on that?
Yeah.
I think Chris will probably handle this as part of his presentation. Any comments on Chris's email? Okay. Okay, then we'll move on. Okay, I will move that we, this is the new business. I move we approve Segal invoice number 379277, the amount of $1,550 for statements and record keeping. Right here, a second.
Second.
Sharon, second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Number 2, I move we approve FIA invoice 00060920001 dated March 31st in the amount of $11,084.24 for first quarter 20 consulting fee.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Okay, next, I move to approve retirement benefit for D. D'Amico in the amount of $632.62 in the form of a modified health refund effective May 1st, 2020.
Second.
Don, one question. Who is that?
Sorry, I'm looking. I don't recognize the number.
Hey,
Martha,
John.
did you put that on the
John,
agenda?
I do have one comment on that. On the agenda, I think the numbers were transposed. It says 632/60/62 in the agenda, whereas the actual worksheet is 623. So I think the number in the agenda should be 623/62.
Okay, I'll double check and then correct it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the backup sheet that we have from Segal.
Right, okay. And that should be, yeah, I'm just looking, I'm going down to that now. Yeah, where is it now? Let's see.
It's on page,
Looking at the letter, but I'm looking for the number.
it's on page 44.
Okay, I'm looking 43. Yes, okay, so it's 623.62. Okay, so uh, I'll amend that number in the motion. Any other comments? Go ahead. Okay. Don, did you tell me who that is and where they work?
She was a former school nurse, and she's next on she's coming up on the agenda to approve her retirement.
I didn't get that, Don. Can you try that again?
Yes, she was a school nurse.
Oh, a school nurse. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay. Next, I move to approve a Robinson and Cole invoice 503-03168 dated March 9th, 2020 in the amount of $99 for legal services.
Second.
Okay. Any comment?
Hey, John?
Yeah, hey, John, I have a comment on that one. This is Dan. That particular one, the back of the that it was regarding 403B questions. So are the funds for that to come from a different source than the pension?
You'll have to repeat that, Dan.
I'm sorry. The description of those legal services were for 403B questions. So my question is, where will be the source of funds to pay that invoice?
I think it's appropriate to come out of it where we pay the others. Go ahead, Don.
Those will come out of the legal budget line for this year, not from the pension.
Okay, so I was only suggesting maybe we just clarify that'll be paid under the legal line item on the account budget.
Okay. What line item was that again?
It'll come out of our outside legal counsel.
Okay. All right. We can make that amendment.
Paid under the legal line item, what?
Outside legal counsel?
Legal counsel?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so that'll be an amendment. Sharon, you okay with that amendment?
Friendly.
Okay. All right, any other comment? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and okay, the last item is the ordinance. The ordinance, excuse me, and just some background for those that may not be aware, the town council is going through and has been for several years going through a renumbering and in many cases amending, rewriting of ordinances in the town. Right now, as of today, in the town, we have two separate ordinances. The first ordinance, and they've already been renumbered, but the fact that they're been renumbered is a second issue. There's a number 200-10, and that is the ordinance that created the pension plan, and that is the DB pension plan, and also created the pension board. The second, which is now 200-11, created the deferred compensation plan. Those two are being combined into one. And so You have been sent the marked up edition of or version of the amended combined ordinances. Don and Marcia have been working with Roxanne on that to modify that. The most significant change, besides a lot of the wording in some of the areas, the most significant change is that it creates two alternate positions on the pension board. From what I can see, the pension board is the only 5-member commission or board in the town that does not have alternate members. So it would be a good thing in light of some of our travel plans and other things to have some alternates, and this will create that. Now, you have a markup. Dan last night brought two other comments to me. One is that there's a typo, not a typo, but in one of the paragraphs, it needs to be just one sentence, and I will send that out to you. The other is that there's both the word retirement board and pension board are both used in the ordinance, and Dan suggests that we just use one. I would suggest that pension board is probably more appropriate. Don, do you have any other comments on the ordinance and any other information?
I do not. I've been told that you're getting a really bad echo from me. Is that correct?
For me,
You have
it's
three.
cutting in and out.
Okay. John, the only thing we were renaming the board to the retirement board rather than the pension board.
Oh, we are.
I missed what you were saying. Yes, that was one of the reasons. So it covers both the defined benefit plan and the defined contribution plans.
And this is Skip. I would agree with that. If we're going to oversee all plans, they are not all pension plans. Only one of them is a pension plan. The rest of them are various types of retirement plans. So it might be more appropriate to use the retirement board rather than the pension board.
Okay, good, fair point. Okay, that makes sense. And Don, I missed your comment. What did you say? Were you saying the same as Skip, or?
That's the same thing I was saying, yes.
All right. So just to give you a status, this revised ordinance has gone through the administration committee of the council, and it is now waiting to go to a public hearing. Unfortunately, obviously, we can't hold any public hearings right away, so it could be several months before that ordinance goes to public hearing. I assume there wouldn't be many comments, and then it would go to the council to be voted on, and then whatever the process is after that. So it could be a few months before this actually takes place. So again, please look at the ordinance. If you have any comments, why don't you send them? Just reply to everyone. Send them to all of us so we can get the wording we need in there. It's pretty cumbersome and expensive to amend ordinances. So if we can do that all now, that'd be great.
John, can I just add one quick thing?
Sure.
Don't reply all, because that identifies a not appropriately noticed meeting. So the better option would be each member submits their comments maybe to you and you consolidate them.
Excellent. I did not know that. Is that some new news that we found out? Is that right?
Yeah, it's that replying all is basically it's a quorum. So when you reply all, you have a quorum, and you have a not properly noticed meeting that is happening electronically. So we have to watch out for that.
All right. Well, moving on, we don't have anything else. Have we heard from Chris?
I just checked.
This is Don.
Oh.
Go ahead, Don.
I'm gonna step off and call him and see if I can find out what his status is. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, we heard you.
Okay.
Hey, John, this is Bill Thorne.
Right.
So as we seem to be moving forward, we're gonna, as a retirement board, as opposed to a pension board, we're gonna be responsible for the defined contribution plan. I mean, how will our responsibility change from what it is now into the new ordinance?
I don't. Does anyone want to answer that or try that? I don't have really any comment on that. I don't see any change. Our responsibilities are specified in the ordinance.
This is Marcia. I think it's mostly just a reflection of what you have all been actually doing in practice for the last couple of years. You've been taking on more of the defined contribution plan responsibilities, and that hadn't, I don't think that had been laid out in the
Can I
ordinance.
just butt in? Can I butt in for a second? Chris is going to call in right now, so we'll have to watch him. Go ahead, Marcia. Sorry.
That was pretty much it. I think there isn't any added responsibility other than, you've been doing it pretty much all along anyway. This formalizes it and gets everything into one ordinance.
Bill, if you see some words that need to be put in the ordinance that you think would clarify, I mean, it does talk about overseeing, the pension funds and things like that. But if you see something else to be clarified, just send it to me and we'll take a look at it.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah,
Welcome.
welcome. Sorry
How you doing,
about
John?
that. Yeah, so
Chris.
they told me I was going on at 8:45, and they're going through this whole agenda item. It's 9:24, and I'm sweating bullets here. So I'm gonna have to jump back to that call at some point, hopefully. But challenging times indeed. So thanks for your patience.
Okay, Chris, this is John. It's all yours. We're waiting for you. So thanks for joining us. And why don't you give us the good news? The first thing is, Chris, you did send us a memo, and that was on our agenda. Do you want to start with that and just talk a little bit to your memo?
Well, I think I have what I sent out, if I'm not mistaken, John. We sent out the monthly performance flash report. So that's the quarterly flash report for the town's pension portfolio. And then we send out really what is our daily market value, or excuse me, our daily market update. So we provide that as well. And then we provide a sort of a cash flow worksheet. So if I can, maybe I can go to the cash flow, excuse me, the flash report and touch upon first quarter results, if that works for the committee, and then kind of give you an update where we are today.
That's great, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So let me begin on page 5, which shows you the asset allocation of the portfolio as of March 31st. Given our target allocation, domestic equity and international equity, our total market value of the portfolio at the time was about $23.2 million at the end of March, and we're monitoring the portfolio to ensure that our asset allocation is consistent with our targets, and we will rebalance necessary. When we start pushing the boundaries of those ranges. On the next page, the investment results you can see for the quarter. Really a difficult first quarter, right? So, worst quarter for stocks since 2008, as really the coronavirus, which was initially thought isolated to China, quickly became a global crisis and brought businesses to a standstill, and really adding to the public health crisis, was the collapse in oil prices. We saw that yesterday. So that's not only impacting those countries heavily reliant on commodity, but reverberates to the U.S. energy sector as well, including the credit markets such as bank loans and high yields. And we've seen significant spread widening versus comparable treasuries. So with respect to capital market performance, that 11-year bull market came to a real grinding halt in February and March. The S&P was off 8% and 12%, and the S&P posted a negative 20% decline for the quarter. Small caps were off about 30%. International developed emerging markets were down about 23%. So, very difficult first quarter. And also you kind of saw that reverberate through the bond market as well. We began the quarter with the Treasury yielding about 191 basis points and really got down to about 31 basis points on March 9th. So that just shows you just the amount of risk aversion in the market, right? A lot of investors flocking to the safety of treasuries. That yield drops all the way down to 31 basis points, jumped all the way up to 129 just a week later before settling at 69 basis points at the quarter end. So you could just see the amount of volatility in the bond market, which doesn't get as much publicity as global equities does in the news. And then you had investment grade spreads. So kind of how did the corporate bond market, high yield market fare versus treasuries? And there was a lot of risk in that market. We began the year very tight, only about 93 basis points of spread between a corporate bond and a comparable U.S. Treasury bond. And that indicates that investors were comfortable going into the new year with sort of the economic backdrop and the health of corporate America. But these really spiked out during the crisis. And what you did see was the Fed intervened with quick and decisive support and action to stabilize fixed income markets and really kind of keep things fluid. So not only did the Fed cut rates, but they restarted their quantitative easing programs, pledging to boost its holding of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. You had the government provide, $2.2 trillion in CARES stimulus package to individuals and companies, et cetera. So, the challenge with this public health crisis, we went into this crisis in pretty good shape from an economic perspective. Good balance sheets, low unemployment, low inflation, valuations weren't reasonable. Previous market sell-offs that we experienced tend to be triggered by some leverage or excess asset bubbles. Think of the dot-com and the global financial crisis. So right now it's a little bit difficult and challenging as we're seeing in the markets with respect to entry points or bottoms based on an evaluation of some type of historical valuations or corporate profitability, with just so many unknowns around social distancing and the economic standstill. So we ended the quarter at about 23.2 million. As of the close of last Friday, the portfolio is actually up to about 24.4 million. So we had a gain of about $1.2 million since quarter end as markets have kind of rallied here. The other document that I've shared with you, that market update on page 3, gives you kind of an indication in the month of April, where the capital markets stood for the month of April. So the S&P was up 11%, for example. Most indices were sharply higher, and so that kind of offset some of the sharp losses in the first quarter. So that kind of gives you a sense of kind of market conditions. The most important number for the town is obviously the fiscal year number, right? The number that goes in the book. So we have a little bit of a room here, a little bit short runway. You're not a calendar year plan like if you ended on 12/31, but the 7/1 is really the important number that we're going to look at that ultimately goes in the book. And as you know, you have kind of the liberal actuarial tools at your disposal in terms of smoothing mechanisms and the impact that this could have as on future contributions. So that's kind of a update. We're working through the full quarter report. We'll get that to you with manager commentary, but if I could answer any questions at this time, please let me know. We tended to preserve principal a little bit better. You could see that our domestic equity portfolio, getting back to that flash report on page 7, we're down about 19%, and the index was down about 23%. our active managers, particularly Newburgh, Berman, did a really good job of preserving principal in a kind of a down market. We're not recommending really any changes to the portfolio at this time. And we continue to keep you updated with that daily slide deck that we updated, which gives you kind of data points around capital market activity.
Hey, Chris, this is Skip. Do you see any more widespread, not necessarily, weaknesses, but not necessarily in the investment markets, but in municipalities' financial conditions? Is that a concern going forward for your group? Are you looking at, the overall municipalities and their financial state? Are there going to be some strains there, you think?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have talked to some finance directors. What are your revenues going to look like, right? What's the impact to the towns and municipalities? And you may have saw that the Fed rolled out a municipal funding liquidity program where municipalities can borrow directly from the Fed at these really low rates. So yeah, I think it's a concern all around. Anytime you get a dislocation like this, you've got lower revenues coming in. At the same time, you've got kind of a budget. Unemployment numbers at the state level, there's going to put a strain on those resources as well. 22 million people unemployed. So I think it will reverberate. Depending upon the size of the municipalities and their source of revenue, whether it's from business or individuals, property taxes, et cetera, is yet to be seen. But I think a number of organizations, both corporate and municipalities, are going to feel stress from this shutdown. Absolutely.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Chris, was there anything else from your memo you wanted to advise us?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I just think we wanted to reassure you that we're in touch with the money managers. We were in touch with the fixed income market money managers on a daily basis. Really understanding sort of the risk and the liquidity constraints that were in the markets. But we've been through these scenarios before. You go back to even fourth quarter of 2018. The portfolio was down double digits for the fourth quarter, and we had a really strong 2019. So, the markets are just really bouncing around here. I think, we're looking at opening down another 500 today, maybe, collapse of oil prices. So, we're going to continue to see volatility here. There's just this uncertainty around, it's a public health crisis, as I mentioned. I think that's the real challenge. We're not dealing with something where you look at, okay, the market was trading at 32 times earnings, historically at 17 times, and we're way overvalued. Now we're back down to 17 or 18 or 15, and you're like, okay, so historically from a value perspective, this might be a good entry point. We're comfortable here. You just don't know what these corporate earnings are going to look like, and how much further we're going to be, subject to social distancing. And I think that's the real challenge here, is just the unknown around how long the economy is going to be shut down for. But at the same time, I think what you've seen is the government, whether it's the Fed or the government, really step up to the plate here and say, look, we're, outside of testing, the coronavirus is just kind of providing that economic support to keep really the economy functioning as best we can. And you don't want to fight the Fed. So, but I think our fixed income portfolio we're comfortable with. We're not taking a lot of risk within that portfolio. We've got some managers that have flexibility, like Prudential, that had a little bit of a difficult quarter because, they had corporate bonds and high yields. At the same time, the last couple of weeks here, they've rallied back pretty nicely, given that spreads have come in. Our equity managers on the domestic equity side did a real good job of preserving principal relative to the benchmark. So I think we're comfortable with the way the portfolio's position. It's just, I think, John, the uncertainty around the public health crisis that we're facing.
Okay. Any other questions for Chris? Okay. Hearing none. Chris, you're doing We've authorized a study. Don, you can correct me on that. Was it a VOIA or I forget what it is?
Yeah, we have been in communication with Don and Marcia, and been working with Voya, and I would say we're about 95% done. And right now, we're going to get that draft over to Marcia and Don for review, some observations, and I think you'll be pleased with the report. I think the plan looks in real good shape, and I think we'll provide transparency around pricing and what it looks like. So I'm excited to deliver that report, but everything looks really good. And I suspect we'll be delivering that report at the May meeting. That works for you.
Okay. All right. Okay, Chris. Well, we thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Well, I thank you. Sorry I was a little bit delayed here. I know kind of logistically it's a little bit of a challenge here and there, but thanks for your patience. And again, any questions that you have, we provide updates. And you have any questions on market activity, any information or reports, please do not hesitate to reach out to us.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Stay well. We'll talk to you next month.
Stay safe, you and your families as well.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. That finishes up our agenda. Does anyone have any additional comments or questions or suggestions?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you, Roger, for listening in. And everyone stay well. And hopefully, maybe we'll see you next month. But I'm sure there's a difference of opinion on that. So,
We'll see
okay.
you this way.
What's that?
We can still see you this way.
That's I tell you something, it is nice getting ready for these meetings as opposed to the others, right?
Yes.
Anyway, okay, everyone. Be well. We'll see you.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Okay, thanks.